Every story begins with an implicit question. Who is your main character? What do they want? And what are they willing to do to get it? And the goal of every story is to answer these questions. It's why so many movies and books end with a character's grand proclamation of their name or their mission or both.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides!
I'm Jyn Erso, daughter of Galen and Lyra. You've lost.
And these moments resonate with the audience. We'd love to know who the protagonist is, who we have watched them become throughout the story. Because as humans, we're interested in humans. As Lisa Crone puts it in her book Story Genius, the point of a story doesn't stem from the events. Rather, it stems from the struggle they trigger within the protagonist as she or he tries to figure out what the heck to do about the problem they're facing. So for Syril Karn's character arc and his life to end with these words left unanswered.
Who are you?
Tells us everything we need to know about him. I've spent a lot of time making videos about Andor, and while I'm probably reaching sort of the maximum level of critical interest I have within the show, I've discussed a lot of the things I want to talk about, there is a character that we haven't touched on yet. The character of Syril Karn. Syril Karn is one of the most interesting characters in the Andor series. And despite popular opinion, he is not a hero. He's complicit in galactic evil, a member of the mob, and a victim of the Empire. And this fractured nature is exactly what makes him such a tragic figure. When we first meet Syril Karn, he is a villain. A mid-level member of a security contractor working for the Empire. And after two officers of this company are killed by the title character, Cassian Andor, Syril reports these crimes for investigation.
2 men are dead, sir. Employees. That's not worth staying up for, then I'm not worthy of the uniform.
Have you modified your uniform?
Perhaps slightly. Pockets piping and some light tailoring.
In under 5 minutes, this scene introduces the audience to Syril's character, as well as this new perspective in the Star Wars universe.
I'm sure that in several days, with the proper resources, I can bring this case to a...
Stop! I don't mean just the talking, I mean stop.
I don't understand.
I want you to conjure a suitable accident.
But...
And let's make sure it's on the far side of the plaza. Let's get it outside the leisure zone.
But they were murdered.
No, they were killed in a fight. They died being helpful. Something sad but inspiring in a mundane sort of way.
In the gritty day-to-day reality of Imperial rule, Syril is just like one of us. He yearns for purpose and strives for success, hoping for eventual recognition both in his career and his personal life. He is idealistic, and yet completely self-motivated.
Is it not under our jurisdiction?
Technically.
We are simply asking for information.
Have you ever been there?
What difference does that make?
They have their own way of doing things.
This is the murder of 2 Primor employees! Put out a bulletin. Kenari human men wanted for questioning. Slam their channels, flood it. Set up a desk here to monitor anything that comes in. Let's go!
So against the orders of his superior officer, really in conflict with everybody in this entire organization, he assembles a team of security personnel to track down and arrest Cassian Andor. Now, what's interesting about this initial plotline is that if you compare it to that of a hero, it's not too dissimilar. Syril Karn, an idealist who wishes to change the world, identifies an evil criminal and alerts the system about it, but is wrongfully dismissed by his superiors and the system at large, only to inevitably disobey them to do what he thinks is right and save the day and the galaxy in the process. But the difference with Syril is that he works for the Empire, the explicit and undeniable villains of the Star Wars universe. That, and he's awkward.
Justice. Best of luck to us all.
Unrespected,
Is we up?
Is he even allowed to approve overtime?
That's his problem.
Not if we don't get it.
and ultimately, incompetent. Syril is a broken hero, and because of this, is a villain. So instead of capturing the criminal, Cassian escapes. Syril loses his job, and the entire security company he was a part of is just wiped off the face of the earth, to be replaced by the ISB. Cyril's story is a subversion of the hero's arc, and potentially presents a somewhat more realistic version of it. Not the ideal that we strive for, but what we are left to grapple with on a day-to-day basis, and then forces us to watch the consequences of it. In the aftermath of his failure on Ferrix, Syril becomes a character who is both relatable and despicable. A man punished not with death or torture, but something much more subtle. Insignificance. For much of Season 1, Syril Karn is what most would refer to as a loser. A hopeless romantic who, after failing at his job, is fired and left to eat cereal in his mom's basement. And this sudden shift in tone changes our impressions of his character. Suddenly, Cyril's struggles are no more grand than our own, and he shifts from an antagonist to a sort of dark everyman whose failure is deeply relatable. After the events on Ferrix, Cyril's motivation is not for revenge, but redemption. He wants to redeem himself in his own eyes, his mother's, and those of the Empire.
I was a good deputy inspector.
I solved a double murder and found the killer in 2 days. It was overly ambitious, yes, but time was slipping away and the opportunity was real. I didn't deserve what happened.
I wish you luck. I'm running late.
And he finds what he's looking for in the character of Dedra Meero. She's the perfect embodiment of everything he admires about the Imperial philosophy. A woman formed by the Imperial machine itself.
But I had ruined my life. I thought I was done. After meeting you and discovering you understood how dangerous Cassian Andor was, and just being in your presence, I realized that life was worth living. I realized that if nothing else, there was justice and beauty in the galaxy, and if I just kept going, perhaps my deranged belief that there was something better fated for me in the future was a dream worth clinging to.
Something people seem to overlook about Syril is that he is completely committed to the Imperial machine and its underlying philosophy. And what becomes twisted about this is that he has this unhealthy obsession with it. He's addicted to the sense of fulfillment that it gives him.
Can one ever be too aggressive in preserving order?
And while the ideals of order, discipline, and self-mastery are not evil in and of themselves, the Empire uses these concepts simply as a way to cushion their propaganda, a way to manipulate the masses, with Syril being among them. As Cyril's relationship with Dedra progresses, his relationship with the Empire progresses as well, and he rises higher and higher within the Imperial machine. And so his character gives us this masterful analysis of what happens when idealism, self-interest, and motivation by propaganda combine.
Syril is a romantic character, maybe the most romantic character in the show. His fantasies could be anything, and he buys into this fascist, imperial mindset and constructs everything. The whole cathedral he builds inside himself is all about that, and Dedra and everything else. And when that comes crashing down, that's really sad to me.
The Ghorman Massacre will go down in film history as one of the greatest cinematic sequences of all time. The pacing, the soundtrack, the costumes, and of course the characters are all deftly handled. And for Syril Karn, the Ghorman Massacre is the ultimate end to which his character has been headed. It's Cyril's inevitable reckoning. a final reveal of not just the Empire's evil or even his girlfriend's, but his own part in it. Syril finally sees his direct involvement in and culpability for the massacre of an entire planet. For all of Season 2, Dedra and Syril are a team, working both romantically and professionally together on the Ghorman project. And while Syril may not know the details of this mission, and certainly does not understand the ultimate goal, he is complicit in the actions taken on Ghorman, in the surveillance of the Ghorman people and the integration of their rebel movement. And furthermore, he enjoys every second of this.
I think they're planning already. They're inexperienced, but very eager.
How often those attributes align?
They'll need help, sir. The plan, your plan, to bait Ghorman as a prize for outside agitators needs to begin somewhere. This could be that moment.
If I say this is the greatest day of my life, does it spoil everything?
For the first time ever, Syril is in the room where it happens. Almost. As strange as it might sound, Dedra's role in the story of Andor is that of an Imperial seductress, a muse of the Imperial philosophy, and an example of what this dedication to self-discipline, to the Imperial machine at large, can result in. And because Syril falls for this seduction, his commitment to Dedra mirrors his commitment to the Empire. She, like the Empire, gives him a sense of purpose and accomplishment, even solving his personal problems on her downtime.
I have a different plan in mind. But when I say the word plan, that makes it sound optional, which is not the impression you should be taking away. This game ends now.
So in response, Syril sees himself as Dedra's champion, a knight in shining armor who quite literally saved her life from the riot and subsequent slaughter of rebel forces on Ferrix, which puts Syril somewhere in the gray area between victim and villain. He's a man who doesn't necessarily wish for the good, but wishes to be good. A man who lets his own interests blur the line between good and evil. And on Ghorman, a planet he has inhabited for at least a year, Syril is finally forced to be aware of his conscience for the first time.
You've destroyed us.
I was here to trap outside agitators.
Look at you. Even now. We've had reports all night. There's mining equipment being dropped all over the planet. Rigs and droids.
It's a rumor.
Are you mad? That I'd believe that? That it's worth saying? What kind of a being are you?
As things begin to ramp up on Ghorman, troops, construction, Imperial presence, it's clear that Syril is catching on, and yet he seems to ignore his better instincts. Until it's all too late.
What have we been doing here?
There's a stone. Something in the dirt here. They need it. It's the energy program. It's directly from the Emperor. It's something they can't do without. They need the planet.
Which brings me back to the final words of Syril Karn's life. Not spoken by himself, but the man he considers to be his enemy. In Cyril's final moments, he is stripped of his only core belief, the belief which he's clung to for moral clarity since the beginning of the story itself. The belief that Cassian Andor is a murderer who must be punished. But instead of the villainous Andor, his supposed enemy, Syril ultimately meets someone else. Cassian Andor, the rebel, the man who's on the right side of history. And he doesn't even know who Syril is.
Who are you?
And so he dies as he lived. Insignificant. having achieved nothing but a magnificent act of self-deception. The story of Syril Karn is a tragedy. Not because Syril could have been a hero, or because he is a misunderstood villain, but because he is a normal person. A man who strives for what he thinks is right, just as all of us. And the haunting reality of Cyril's moral failure is that it is the most common form of evil in the real world. Not a mustache-twirling maniac or a lightsaber-wielding Dark Lord, but an everyman. A member of the mob who aligns himself with the forces of evil, but somehow manages to convince himself that he's right to do so. Because to acknowledge, to even consider the terrifying reality that all the actions of his life leading up to this moment might have been wrong would be overwhelming. Syril is a tragic character because he's just like us. And the only thing more horrifying than facing a tyrannical regime like the Empire is finding out that you are a part of it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you should like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because if capturing the fallen nature of humanity is so difficult, what happens when you have to write a god? But as always, no matter what happens, keep reading, keep writing, and I will see you all in the next video.